having too much fun. You know that, don't you?
I know, Desert. We are live now. The microphone is on. Okay. G'day, everybody. Welcome to the Wows and Giggles show. No, just joking. Hang on. Forgot to hit the mute button. Okay, we'll just get straight into the introduction so that I can get into the swing of things. It's been a little while. I apologise for the delay. Okay, we're here with Dezert-Owl from the Forbidden History series, and I am NinjaCat 111. I'm just going to read the introduction. It's called The Signs of the Times, written by Dezert-Owl. In essence, Desert discusses the history of the world and how the unseen hand has been running it from the very beginning of time, who they are, and how they have founded all of the first great civilizations that are found all around the world, about who the giants really were, and the ancient Aryan caste and slave systems, the priesthoods, the anti-gravity V-manners, the earth-based misnomered UFOs which are man-made, the control of all forms of communications, commerce, religion, mass media, pseudo-politics, etc. It is the grand deception that is used to control all of mankind, and all instituted through the three main religions of the world in particular, used as their grand cover. Their cyber code has been revealed to him because he has become adept within the study of the ancient alphabets, communications, symbolism, religion, custom, law, cosmology and mythology, not to mention the fallacy of today's political science and pseudoscience in particular. Desert can also define the true nature of their warfare, their shell game of bringing one civilization up for their temporary use and then taking it down for the next 500-year generational cycle, as symbolized by the classical phoenix. He discusses the ultimate in mind control and ancient art, and the financial control, the secret societies and their blood occult rituals, and how they wage all wars throughout all time through the nations that they have created, which are all imaginations, plantations and mere corporations. They have taken blood oaths to surrender their self-will and mind to their blind goddess, who has demanded our blood from the very beginning of time. They communicate to their minions through the movies, TV and print media, while he can see, read and interpret most all of it. It all says that they are using us for our ingenuity, for our collective constructive labour, for experimentation, and in the end they intend to kill us all. They have given us full notice of what they are doing and what they fully intend to do, while all of the general population, the sheeple, they merely go there to be entertained. The New World Order is the Old World Order from the beginning of time. There is a major cosmic natural disaster that is about to happen on Earth, and they know it. But they are cleverly leaving us in the dark. Hence the reason that they have built hundreds of underground bases all around the world, while they are leaving all of the people to remain unprepared, uninformed, and above ground, so that when it comes, the mere 5% who will survive above ground will die from the weaknesses and disease that has been generated from all of the poisons that they have been feeding us, from the from the chemtrails to fluoride in the water, to tainted vaccines, to fake food, etc., etc. They have enslaved us all by the clever means of deception, because we, most all, are their cattle, chattel, property, and because they merely wanted to harness our labour, what they always needed, which is what backs most of the world's currency through the birth certificate, but they are all through with us now. It is written in stone, as it can be seen written in the Georgia Guidestones. To know the truth is to be empowered and to be prepared. We may not be able to stop what has been done and what is about to happen, but the innocent and decent people on planet Earth deserve to know. And that was written by Dezert-Owl of the Forbidden History series. G'day, Desert. How's it going?
Hi, Ninja. It's going as the world turns, as they say. There used to be a soap opera back a long time ago in the 1950s and 60s. As the world turns.
Okay,
my grandparents watching it while I'm sitting on the road playing with my toy trucks or Army Man. Oh, yeah, Army Man. I remember that.
That was before my time.
They were indoctrinating us right from the beginning. You know, we got our army men, we line them all up and shoot them all down, and anyway.
Yeah, lovely. I just want to say g'day, hi that way, and hello, ya love. G'day, sorry, I didn't mean to say hello. Yeah, please continue, Desert.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, well, anyway, you know, we haven't been doing this for a couple of days, and so I've got plenty of notes and 3x5 cards. I've got some symbolism. You know, I'm going to talk about first of all, the all-time movie to see for symbolism would be the movie Constantine. That with Keanu Reeves. I don't know, about 10 years ago, I guess, give or take, and but highly symbolic. Right out the gate on the cover of the DVD, he's carrying a shotgun that's got a cross on it. You know, so it's showing that the cross is the ultimate weapon, and while he's got wings on his back, making him look like an angel, and then of course the battle of Lucifer and Gabriel is in there. Gabriel representing actually the Son and the Redeemer. But it's a lot going on. So I recommend anyone watch it. And then if you get a chance to watch it, we could talk about the symbolism.
Yeah, I've seen it a couple of times, but it was a while ago now, so I'll have to watch it again.
Well, the one thing that got me going on wanting to watch it again was I remembered the scenes where when he goes into another dimension, he's walking on the planet and everything has been destroyed by fire.
Yeah. Right? I remember that.
So that to me is the biggest symbolism within the movie. But then there were things that were said.
Yeah.
In there, I would have to do a review, just like when I did my review of Superman and The Exorcist, and a couple other movies. You know, I got to write down as I watch it because literally they're speaking subliminally through the entire program. Of course, it's about mind control. The detective lady who goes into the confessional and confessed that she killed somebody again, and she always knows right where to go and where to shoot. You know, all of this stuff. It's classic. And the very people who are flying the airplanes or doing the dirty deeds of the key people very most likely certainly are on some kind of mind control because they wouldn't be doing what they were doing if they were rational normal thinking people. But they're on a power trip or a mind control trip. You know, there's a lot going on within our world, but the movies are telling the message. The message in this movie is to the occult. It is to them, and so you have to not look at it for entertainment, but look at it for the subliminal undertone that is speaking to their occult world. That's how they speak to their occult world in mass through the movies. They go there, they know it, they get it.
It's in everything. It's in every single thing on the TV. Like the more I learn, the more I pick out on the anything that you watch. Even if you watch something 10 times, there's always something else to spot.
But I think the biggest element in this movie is that they when you see when he goes into the other dimension and there's nothing, everything is burned up, all the cars in the highway, everything is burned down. And so I think their message here is we're going to burn it down, and I think that's the primary symbolic message in here. We're going to burn this planet, and they started with the pilot project, and I just got a phone call actually from Paradise, California, and couldn't take it because we're doing the interview, but we may get an inside scoop here from a friend who knows what's going on, and finally returned my call. So I was really glad to hear from her. So we'll find out more about that hopefully in the next few days, and we can do a possible interview. Okay?
Yeah. That'd be really good. And it's real. I just realized as you were speaking, it's like amazing that you're in contact with a survivor. That's amazing. That's wonderful.
Well, it certainly is, because this was a very great lady and somebody that I'm I'm
Yeah.
glad to hear is still alive and kicking.
Yeah.
I was also trying to locate somebody else up there that I haven't heard back from yet, so I don't know, what that situation is. But anyway, maybe we'll get an inside scoop somehow here. And so I just have a couple quotes. One of them is called Free Will. The man stands in the middle between the two worlds of light and darkness, and is left to his own free will. Okay, that's Zoroastrian system, and that was a pure religion at one point. That's why the Persian king Cyrus let the people of Judah go back to build their temple, because they followed the one God as well, and to use a pagan term. So anyway, so that's part of the spiritual truth, that man stands in the middle between two worlds of light and darkness. We could use the metaphor sun and moon, and is left to his own free will. And that is the great irony on our planet, you see, because there are very few who are true dedicants to the true calling of light, which is to follow the axiom, do no harm, and to serve the higher truth. There's in spite of the fact that there might be a million people out there, that's certainly not enough and I'm stretching it when I say a million, because I don't even think that's the case. I'm talking about true spirits, that are following the true law of nature and of the Supreme Being.
Yeah.
But even if there were a million, there's 7 billion people. That's such a small number in comparison to the greater number. So it's not even I have to get my calculator out. But anyway, so here's another one I wrote yesterday, and or early this morning. Isn't it obvious that true peace is hidden within? For where do you find it out there, where there is only war, greed, fear, and discontented souls? Okay, so that's in regard to true peace. There is no peace, cannot be found on this earth. Peace is something that is found from within, and it occurs most especially when you separate yourself from all the garbage and all this nonsense that's going on in our world.
Yeah.
The world will not give you peace. It gives you lies and deception, false promises that it can't deliver on. It's an illusion.
Desert, I already have a question.
Okay, question from the chat?
No, from me.
From you?
Yeah.
Hey.
Talking about free will, do you think, because it seems that I'm going to put common sense in there as well, it seems that common sense and free will have almost completely vanished from this world. Do you think that in itself is an illusion and we still have free will, or free will is actually gone from most of the world because of the mind control? Do you think people are still able to snap out of it if they want to?
Well, that's a good question, because free will is an illusion for most people are out there, because you're right, they don't have free will because they have been manipulated in mind control. In other words, the prime objective, the ultimate form of slavery is to create a situation where you actually get all of your slaves to think they're actually free, and can do whatever they want.
When they're not.
That's what they've done.
Yeah,
This is one giant farm, one giant plantation, and they got everybody on the plantation thinking they're free. Then every now and then somebody wakes up, like we have, but then the majority of them actually think that the governments are legitimate, and that they can do whatever they want to do, as long as they can party, as long as they can take their drugs, or go to the movies, or play with their iPhone. They think that they're on top of the world. So most people are not free, and even when they think they're free, and because the only true freedom is in a state of surrender to the Father of Light, because it said, one quote in one of the scriptures is, the only true free man is one who's free from sin. You see, because we are also slaves not only to a beast system, but also then to our physical makeup, or the serpent, that wants us to serve it. You see?
Wow.
Yeah.
There's so many layers. There's so many layers to it. Like, we could do a whole 3-hour live stream just on free will, I think, and mind control. Unfortunately, yeah. There was something else I was going to say too, but I can't. It's gone.
All right.
Okay.
Well, let me continue on then with. I just have a couple quotes. This leads in pretty good to what we're talking about, because the priesthood is the one that's orchestrating the mind control in our world. It's about, religion is the opium. They knew that it was easier to control people through the religious state than from the political state. The political state is just the polished diversion from the reality, like, that the Vatican is running all the nations of the world. The Vatican is not the final, it's the front office. It's not the haunt of these occultists, but the front office for doing their damage in the planet. And so most people didn't know that, basically the United States British Corporation in a box, under the bankruptcy, and Federal Reserve under the receivership, the Jewish banking, was all Vatican instituted. So therefore, Vatican does own America, or the United States Corporation in particular, and of course then all the minds of the people that they control. But this is and I try to write down important quotes from movies and such. And in this one, is of the Brahmin. As you know, I talk about the Aryan Watchers.
Yeah.
And the Brahmin is one of the prime religious classes where it hid itself. And by implication, as we hear the word Brahm, sounds like Abraham or Abraham. It implies the support of the sun. In other words, they claim to be the force or power of the sun itself. And that's where we got the word Adonai then, meaning the sunrise, covering for the sacred name of Yahweh or Yahweh. And so the Brahmin, feel very powerful, and this is an example of that. And I wrote this out of a documentary that was quoting their own words. Many of today's sacred ceremonies on the Ganges River, and so the Ganges is in northeastern India, the big river, where you always see people standing in the river and baptizing themselves, and all the temples are right on the edge of the river. You've seen those classic pictures of the river, documentaries, I'm sure, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
so that's the Ganges. I mean, you probably wouldn't really want to go bathe in it. It's probably so polluted, but anyway. So many of today's sacred ceremonies on the Ganges River echo the ancient practices of the Vedic priests and Brahmins. In Buddha's day, only the Brahmins could mediate between the gods and men. Only they could conduct the holy rituals that were said to preserve the universe itself. That's what they want us to think, don't they? The Aryan Brahmin priest stood at the pinnacle of a rigid social hierarchy in the sacred system of castes. Beneath them were the red Celtic warriors, the caste to which the Buddha belonged. Below them were the yellow farmers, and the bottom were the black slaves, but still lower were the complete outcast. And in regard to their claim that going back to this one quote, in Buddha's day, only the Brahmins could mediate between the gods and men. Only they could conduct the holy rituals that were said to preserve the very universe itself, and therefore they said we need not work because we have to keep the connection going between the great one who made the universe and ourselves. And so they became the priesthood and got the Celtic warfaring, or the lower, or what they call Aryans, the Aryans, to be their front line. And so there's the idea of Brahmanism. That they created the slave caste system. We see it perfectly in India still today, but they get us all to think we were free, but yet we know they've enslaved throughout history, the African in particular, the most abused and enslaved individual, but then of course even the rest of mankind, in felon. There's no honor among pirates and priesthoods, so they enslaved their own, So from then this one, continuing the thought about priesthoods, there was a movie, I call it a B-rated movie about Moses, And and I was amazed to hear one of the quotes, and it was an Egyptian priest. It's of course correctly Meitzraim, but we'll have to use it here just to help people out. The word so this Egyptian bald-headed priest is talking to Moses when he's a little boy in this movie, and he's in a burial tomb area where there's tombs, and he goes, Pharaoh Akhenaten said there was one God for Egypt and another God for other people. If the idea of God had any meaning, there could only be one powerful, all-powerful God. But if men started to question what they were being told to believe since the world began, what else might they not begin to question? One God? A ridiculous idea. For better that there should be as many gods as there are as many men, if only to keep us priests employed. See?
Wow,
So
that's a thinker. That's a thinker, that
What?
one. Yeah, sorry. Please continue.
No, I didn't hear you well.
Oh, it just makes you think. Like that whole statement, just
Yeah.
yeah.
Right. Well, in other words, you had the poly, the polygamy of. That's not the right word, but I'm having a senior moment here. But the multiplex structures of gods, with like in India, and we see in Meitzar in Egypt, and
Yeah.
the polytheism. That's the word I was looking for. Polytheism. Many gods.
Yeah.
You see, that was the trick of the priesthood, because there's only one. There is only one, and all of the priesthoods knew that. But yet, for the people, they gave them many gods. You see, every community had their own community god. You had the god for work. You had the god for thunder. You had the god for this, the god for that. And pretty soon. And boy, business was pretty good, because you can make little idols and images, and people got to buy them from your craftsmen, And so, the idea of one God, what did he say? Nonsense. Better that there be many gods, at least if for any other reason, to keep all of us priests employed. The many priests. Right?
Could that also come from the fact that, correct me if I'm wrong, but it just made me think also the idea of many gods from the beginning, because there was more than one Aryan, like there was more than one, so, and they were all playing God, they're all still playing God, and that just made me think of that.
Right. Well,
Yeah.
but to be in one deity, it was a universal deity, and so it's just a matter of that. That's why when you change places and quality of character or dress or diction, the words, when you change everything, then it gets easier to control people. That's why when they drew the lines in the sand in Europe after they annihilated all the red-head spotted Celtic and moved them onto the island, Scotland and Ireland, and ultimately they just end up on Ireland. That's the only place, we have red-headed spotted people now, because they annihilated them all because it was easy to demonize the children of Cain. Then when the Aryans moved in, they drew lines in the sand, and then they all manipulated their diction so that it would be unique to each different region. And ultimately, over a period of time and through the priesthood, engineering the words, they then created new forms of speech for the German versus the French, the Portuguese, the Spanish, the English, the Anglo, the Norse. All of them evolved their natural Germanic, the natural Indo-Germanic, or pure Aryan tongue into a variety of customized, very very posh forms of speech. And then just through natural inflection by separation of cultures, then it was easy for them to blend a mix of what really sounded very distinctly foreign, but yet it all originated, it was all engineered. It was the ultimate magic trick of the priesthood to create all the differences of the cultural environment of the European Aryan. That's probably one of the most ultimate tricks. You know what they can do, right? Look at everything else they do. There's nothing they can't do if they put their mind to it, right? I mean, from a giant collider to a tunnel in Switzerland that is super big, 10 miles around or whatever, and anything they can. There's an axiom that says there's nothing capricious in nature, and the implanting of a desire indicates its gratification within the creature that feels it. Therefore, you never would have the desire to know or to do something unless it was actually feasibly possible within you to know or to do it. And so that's the nature of this world. What you can imagine can be achieved. Otherwise, it could not possibly come into your mind. You see, and so there may be certain limitations on that idea, but in general, it's true. So that's why we see and typically we see it in the movies first. Whatever we're seeing in the movies is very typically properly already in existence with all the technology and things like that. And then that brings me to when we talked about when I was under that squadron of UFOs, the last two times I was interviewed with you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And one thing I forgot to say, which is relevant to that experience, because I didn't say this one thing, and this was my initial after I thought this was a true Orson Welles world invasion of UFOs. What I was seeing couldn't possibly be happening just here on Easter evening over the interstate highway. That I felt it must have been happening in every city every city in America or around the world, because it was so phenomenal and right out in the open over the traffic, on the interstate. And so my first thought was, do I have enough fuel to get back to Texas where I was living? My other thought was that I didn't say was that I realized what I was witnessing, and I knew, of course, they weren't aliens, but that was the World Federation underground government that had instituted, these craft from somewhere, probably south, and of course I worked, as you know, with the retired intelligence officer who was also voice of mission control for 2 years with NASA, and so he was an insider, and I learned a lot of the scoops about the real machinations of this underworld, and so my what I thought was, that these people were 300 years in the future. This is what I immediately got the impression of. These people, we're driving a diesel truck, on my 18-wheeler, and they jammed my radio, my two-way radio, so I couldn't talk to any other truck drivers to ask them what they saw. If anybody else saw what I was seeing, I thought maybe I was hallucinating. This was really a traumatic experience to be under a squadron of 30 UFOs.
Yeah.
And so. But my other thought about this was that, these people are 300 years in the future. That's how it felt. And I said, and this is what I told my retired intelligence officer. I said, and so when they get done with doing what they're doing, we're not even, America, we will not even be in the history books that they're going to rewrite in the future. We will never have existed in their world that they're ushering in, that they want to usher in. Maybe they can't now that they've destroyed the ozone layer. The joke's on them too. But nonetheless, that was an impression that was very distinct in my mind, that these people are so vastly in control. Like there's these patriots out there still think they're going to kick butt on the New World Order and take them down. They're on the run. The New World Order's on the run. We got them now, don't we, Alex Jones? Yeah. CIA operative. Piece of garbage.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
It's sickening.
Yeah.
They control all the key people, all the people we would have wanted to be the hero, the one telling the truth. They're all the handlers,
Yeah.
I found that out at the Patriot movement, the Alex Joneses, and I like that.
David Icke. David, is it that how you say it? David Icke, David Icke, whoever he is, him too.
Well, David Icke. That's David Rockefeller, right? He's from the Rockefeller family. He was in media. How did he get in media right out the gate before he became so-called truth teller? They're the spell masters to keep everybody under the spell. You say a lot of really good stuff, sounds really great.
Yeah.
Then you start telling people that the Queen of England turns into a lizard and the moon is made out of paper mache. And people start saying, yeah, it must be true. He's right about the New World Order. He must know about the moon and about lizards.
And then it went even further, and people started calling him a lizard, and people still watched him. It's just, anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, keep
Yeah.
going.
It's just amazing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, all the people we would think, you know, like I like the other program, you know, the Young Turks. There's people actually listening to another news broadcast called the Young Turks, you know, and of course I knew they were Islamic, but just by their nature. But yet the Young Turks, you know, the first mafia that ever moved into America from the Turkish mob, actually, you know, the Jews who took over Turkey, and then you know they come over to America with the Sicilian mob. I mean, they're all brotherhood. You know, it doesn't matter whether you're Turkish or Sicilian. They come over. So the first mob in the late 1800s, the Jewish mafia, called themselves the Young Turks. Okay, so put two and two together. They're so antithetical to Americanism when they try to talk about constitutions or patriotism that it makes you want to puke. You know, if anybody really knows the issues. But they got most of the people tuning in, listening to their diatribe because they don't know the issues, nor can they figure out anything because the mind control is so great. So all the other leaders, I found out, the most decorated police officer in Phoenix's history, I took him out to lunch, figured out he was one of them, also under mind control. Absolutely convinced he was under mind control. I don't want to mention names. I don't know. I'm not. But then also the most decorated Green Beret, in America. They made a movie about him. The same deal. One day, all the Patriots follow him. Then another day, he's being interviewed by CNN and saying, anybody who thinks black helicopters is real must be crazy. Yet, or listens to shortwave radio. He added that. And said, "There's the guy everybody's following." And here he just punched them all in the face. So it's the ultimate double play. Anybody that has or as my retired intelligence officer once said, any group bigger than 3 people has already been infiltrated. There ain't nothing that's going to create any type of threat for them that they're not going to infiltrate with their Freemason and then get all your scoop and all your information and then ultimately frame you or take you down some way or other. That's the way the game plays. There ain't nobody going to take down the New World Order. There is no New World Order. It's an old world order. They've been running the world from the beginning of time, recorded history, And so there you go. Do you have any follow-up on that before I go into symbolism?
I just want to say hello to Anne's and Not Nearly Normal. And anything, I just want to make a point, anything we say here is not meant to offend anybody. The chat's getting very interesting at the moment, does it? And it just started buffering. Wow, that's not as that. Wow. They're talking about how Masons are in their family, and they like David Icke. They watch his videos, or David Icke Icke. Not meant to offend anybody. Like, we're all entitled to our own views and opinions, and that's what makes us stand out from all the sheeple. So it's buffering.
Well,
I don't know.
To hear things we never heard before. I don't like being a bearer of bad news nor breaking anybody's bubble, But unless we wake up to the true nature of things, then we'll never be able to be. We're never going to be free in this planet, But we're never going to be able to go back home. The whole objective is to wake up to the truth, and the truth is we're not from this planet, and the one who made all things is the one who reveals all things. And unless we're gonna serve him and wake up to his true nature, and the reality that he is, and that he is with us from the beginning, we're in the divine presence whether we acknowledge it or not, and can have a profoundly close and revealing relationship with Yahweh, which is the correct terminology for who they call Yahweh, the one who made all things, through his seed, his perfect seed, Yeshua the Mashiach. Unless they make that connection, then they'll be looking for aliens to come and save them, and they'll be following every wonderful great manufactured idea that came to them through the occultic world. Okay, because they even took over our scriptures. I'm going to share a little bit that in a little bit if I have time. Are we still buffering, or are we still
Yeah, we're still
forward?
buffering. Anne's just said the video's stalling, but the chat is not, and I've still got the circle, but I've got a green line. So, and the OBS is still going. So, I'm just waiting. Yeah, it's all good except for the green circle. So I don't know what's going on. I'll just let them know something.
Yeah, it may be buffering in some places and maybe not in others. So, okay, so we'll continue on here. So I'm going to I wanted to do one on symbolism, because columns, when they said that Israel fell in 730 BC. That's when Israel was annihilated by Yahweh and no longer became relevant. The idols that they made were not idols. They were not in the classic sense of what we think of with, some type of caricature with a face. These were columns. Okay, these were the columns, and they had an altar in the middle, and this is where they passed their children through the fire, or did, and passing through was symbolic of, going through a portal or a stargate, you could say, and it was the metaphor being also being born again, but in the occultic sense, you see, not in the true sense that Yeshua ushered in. So I'm going to just read this because it's rather interesting to hear. I read this the other day. So the single column pertains to the cosmic group of symbols representing the world axis, such as the tree, the ladder, the sacrificial stake, the mast, the cross. But also it may have a merely endopathic sense deriving from its vertical nature, implying an upward impulse of self-affirmation. Of course, there is a phallic implication as well. For this reason, the ancients ascribed a column and a dolphin to Circe as emblems of love and the sea, respectively. The isolated column is, in short, as closely related to the symbolic tree as to the ritual erection of the megalithic stone or menhir. In allegories, the tree probably is implying the tree of life here, which is symbolically the sun. In allegories and graphic symbols, there are nearly always two columns. There you go. Now remember Freemasonry, and you see the two columns on their iconography, Yakim and Boaz. Okay, the two columns representing sun and moon. Okay, so the graphic symbols are really nearly always two columns, not one. There you go. Because it's about the duality and the light and darkness. So when they are situated on either side of a shield, and there's how they kind of twist things a little bit on either side. Okay, well, if it's talking about a shield, okay, they are equivalent to supporters representing the balanced tension of opposing forces. They have a similar significance when they act as the supports of a lintel. In a cosmic sense, the two pillars or columns are symbolic of eternal stability. And the space between them is the entrance to eternity. There's where your altar would be, and that's where they pass through the fire or through the
okay, yeah, I'm seeing the picture.
It's
yeah.
Stargate.
Yeah.
Stargate, Okay, they also allude to Solomon's temple, the images of the absolute, and the essential principles. The essential principles of building, sun and moon. Those are the essential principles, sun and moon, for building. Variant of this symbol, or rather its significance, are to be found in esoteric thought. Nearly all of them are the result of applying the symbolism of the number 2 to the dual columns, taking them as separate symbols. The two units making up the number 2 are different in kind. For the first unit corresponds to the masculine, affirmative, and evolutive principle, whereas the second represents the feminine, negative, passive, or involutive. So the first would be the sun, second would be the moon. It is for this reason that Saltier gives the particular significance of the two columns rising up at the entrance to the temple as that of evolution and involution, of good versus evil, light versus darkness, sun versus moon, comparable with the tree of life, the sun, and the tree of death, the moon, or the knowledge that gives us the ability to kill the ego and the false nature, and then to rise again to the garden of the atom, the sun, back to the light. On occasion, this abstract duality goes hand in hand with the physical duality of the material. Thus, in the legendary temple of Hercules at Tyre, most people pronounce it Tyre, but it's Tyre, in the Mediterranean shores of Syria, on the Levant. One of the columns was made of gold and the other of semi-precious stone. In Hebrew tradition, the two columns are known as mercy and severity. There may be severity here, I'm not sure. See the word number 7 in it, though. And to return now, and mercy has an element of Mercury for the message. And so there's more to these words than the Miziali. To return now to the single column, we cannot fail to see in it a projection of, or an analogous correspondence with the spinal column. The symmetry, that same kind of correspondence is to be seen in all forms of bilateral symmetry in art, as well as in such organs of the human body as the kidneys or the lungs. The vertebral column may be equated also with the world axis in the same way as the skull image is equated with the sky, with the general relationship of the microcosm and the macrocosm. Okay, and so there's an example of a symbol that is very relevant in our spiritual world, because it connects us back with the primary symbols of sun and moon, but nobody knows that then when they see the occult Freemasonic order, that they're playing on these themes, and so they claim to be the creators and the destroyers, and our protectors at the same time, while they're committing mass genocide on our planet and poisoning us with all the food and all the garbage that they feed us every day. So it's a interesting world we have, and they're having a party on us. So being in the know, we have to study, we have to open books, we have to and knowing the symbol, because where it says where there is no vision, people perish. And so if you can't have a vision, meaning you can't read a symbol, how can the great spirit of life communicate with you symbolically, right? Through visions, through dreams, through the phenomena of nature, through circumstance, with exact surgical timing, the way he does, to get a point with us. But if we have no ability, if we're not conscious, if we're under the spell of that mind control and have not woke up yet, we're still asleep and therefore dead with our eyes open, then we'll never get the picture. We have to be able to get pictures, because the earth is based on pictorial creation. Everything has a value associated with it, or interpretation. That's how the original thought in the diction came to be. And in fact, I want to share a little bit of a sample of one verse in in our scriptures, and then we can talk a little bit more about that mind control, because I was reading in the book Asimov's Guide to the Bible. That's Isaac Asimov. He's written about 200 books, and he's a Jew. And I said, okay, well, I know, he's going to spill a little bit of beans in here and share some information that we're not normally getting, because he's an insider and he's got a big ego, no doubt. But so it's knowing how to read between the lines, just like that book on symbolism. They're saying more than most people will interpret in the definitions that they give there. And then when I read it on the program, I elaborate a little bit. But it's like they almost say it, but then they don't say it, or they're close, but they didn't. Yeah. And unless you're initiated, or unless you are a student of life like I am, and read and have been reading all your life, then you're not going to get it. And that's how they do it. You see, it's almost there, but not quite there. And so that's where I, am able to take advantage of them and their writings, because I get it, and therefore I read the subliminal take on what they were just talking about. So in this, I was getting some really good insight into certain words, in particular with devil and with serpent. And I can turn to those pages, but I wanted to give an example because I'm about to. Once I get ramped up again, and I'm just taking notes at the time, give a transliteration of our scriptures based on the Indo-Germanic Aramaic mother tongue, which predates the Greek or the Hebrew, because they're controlled by the priesthood. We've got to get back to the that which is first is superior.
Yeah.
And what's interesting is this primitive Indo-Germanic is within our modern English, and that's the good news about our English diction. It is being used as a platform for their code, and their corrupted code and their cyber code, and yet the code can be back engineered simply because they're still using the primitive Indo-Germanic roots, and that's the key element there. And so, but the other important thing to note is that within the dictionaries and the concordances and the lexicons, and when I say dictionaries, I wouldn't say all of them, like Webster's 1828 dictionary. I don't feel that Webster lied in his, but I'm talking about most modern dictionaries, and certainly most concordances and lexicons are telling part truth and part lies, or they're perpetuating the lie that was instituted in an earlier time. Therefore, they just simply are not up on the correct meaning of a certain element or word.
Yeah.
It's quite a journey. Did you want to jump in, Ninja, before I go further?
I'm just agreeing with everything and wowing. But I've still. Oh, hang on. Yeah, hang on. We're still having technical issues. I've still got the little circle thingy, but everything else is fine. And Anne's saying it's stopped on the yellow flower and there's no sound, but she can still chat. And there's just, I don't know if everybody can hear. I'm wondering whether to restart so that, because I love what you're saying right now. And it's been a while since we've done this, so I don't want anyone to miss anything.
Yeah. So
you're
having a problem. You're not.
It's like
right.
The stream's green. It's still going.
I'm sorry.
It's still going, and it's all green line and everything. But I'm stuck on the yellow daisy, and I've got the circle, and Anne's is stuck on the yellow daisy, and she can't hear.
Right.
Yeah, love can hear.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's all over the place.
Okay.
Yeah.
So why don't we just call this a primer, and then we can pick it up. We want to pick it up on Thursday then to play it safe, and people can come back if you're having a technical problem, we're not sure where it's going.
Well, I can restart it. I don't want to leave the live stream because it's been so. It feels like ages since we've done one, and I don't know about you, but I know you have a lot of information that you want to talk about, and I want to hear it, and I need the fix. Does it?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's been a tough few days.
Right.
Here.
Well, okay. Yeah. Then you want to just go in another direction, and you want to just, like when we have a conversation, you want to just kind of hit me up and steer me with what you'd like to talk about, some things like that. That way it's more like a casual conversation rather than I do a big presentation and nobody's able to listen, for sure, if we don't have any listeners.
Okay, that way I'm just looking. Anne's is still buffering. so's not nearly normal, and that way is all clear. So we've got half that can't hear and half that can. That's, yeah.
Okay. Well, then, okay, well, we'll move forward. I'll just share with you. If we're still recording, then I'll go ahead and share a little bit. And let's.
So if it's still recording on my end, does that mean? Sorry. Does that mean when we end the stream, the whole thing will go up? Does that mean it will upload the whole thing, or?
Yeah, it'll all upload. Right. Get an audio check. Ask your listeners for an audio check. How many people are you listening right now? Can hear?
Half and half. Yeah.
Half and half.
Yeah. Everyone can still like chat, but only half of them can hear.
All right. Tell them to if they're getting a spinning wheel, or to just simply refresh their browser. They need to know that when you get stuck, you refresh your browser, and that would probably fix. Type it in. Tell the friends to because that's one of the things sometimes you have to do when it gets stuck.
Yeah, I'm stuck here too, though, but I've got the green line. And you know what happens when I hit refresh? It just all goes, So I'm not touching that button. I'm not touching the refresh button, but I'll suggest it.
Oh, okay, very good. And, all right, so anyway, I wanted to give you an example of the transliteration that I'm working on. And so I worked on the word serpent, and I'm looking back at my notes now, and I just wanted to. I'm in Genesis 3:1 for anybody that wants to look at it. Genesis 3:1, and it says there the serpent was more subtle than any beast of the field, and so the. I'm trying to remember my other note. I'm looking for it if I wrote it down, and I don't see it there. So the word serpent is nagesha, actually nagesha, and so in other words, when you're in your King James version, it says serpent, but if you go into the Strong's Concordance, it doesn't say serpent. It says naga, but naga is abbreviation for a bigger word.
Just wow.
I'm sorry?
Yeah, I'm just wowing.
Okay. So it is the bigger word is and I remember now my other quote is on the other page, so I got to turn to another page to read it for you. But so the word is nagesha, and you can see the word gas right in there, gas. Now gasha. And so literally that means the wise serpent. It means the shining royal eye that came down, the royal shining royal eye. That was Adam, because as it says in the scriptures, he was taken up to Eden, which is the atom. Eden is a corruption. It's the atom, and and when he came down to the lower garden, because it said he was taken out of Eden and placed in the garden, and people don't even get the distinction that there were two gardens. A higher garden and a lower. The higher garden is in the light. That's the sun. That's the atom. And the Adam came out of the atom, the Eden, and he was placed in the lower garden. And so let me see if I can turn the page and find the transliteration I did of that, so I can be on point with that transliteration. Okay, come on, Desert, you. I should have prepared my notes a little better.
That's okay. You're always more prepared than what I am, so all is good.
Okay. Well, yeah. Well, I can't get. Oh, wait a minute. Let me back up. I think it's just a matter of. No, it's not turning the page. Oh boy, I should have wrote this down on a card. But anyway, so the serpent, the nagesha. Oh, okay. The other word is subtle. The other word was subtle, and I looked up the word subtle. Yeah, well, because that's the thing that was really profound, and so I looked it up, and then I come to find out that it was a power word. In other words, if the Nagash, is wiser and knows more than all the other creation, then what is the right word? Because that is not the right word there, and it basically it was. And I'm doing all this off the top of my head because now I can't find my notes, and it's discouraging me a little bit. But it was the subtle is, and I'm going to turn one page here because I think I might be able to find this. So hang on a second. I'm not finding it there. So the word subtle, it was Avram. That's what it was. Avram, the Avram, and you see it's the very first part of the word Abraham, right?
Yeah.
And so Avram literally means the star ram, and so the serpent. So in essence, what this would read like, to give you an idea of how they tricked us, because the serpent, of course, is the now. Question is, who is this Nalgasha? Who is the star ram? Who knew more than anybody else on earth? And it was Adam, because he came down from the throne of the sun. He named everything. So even though it's a poor translation, you can see clearly that it says he named everything in the creation. Yeshua brought him up into the Atom, which is the Eden, and it said that while Yeshua made all things on earth through a long process of time, that it was the Atom who named all things, and he wanted to see what he would call them. So he enlightened him, and so he is a star ram because he is powerful. This is where the Watchers came from this Aryan race that came down, you see, and so he's the star, and in the metaphor, okay, he represents the sun because he's enlightened. He's different than all of the other creations that came down prior and all the other races that came down prior, i.e. the African or the Chinese or the Neanderthal or the Cro-Magnon or the Paracas or whatever culture you want to talk about that was here prior. This Aryan race that was made first, because it said Adam was made first on earth before anything else, when he was taken up into the Atom, the Eden, and then while Yeshua made all things, the Adam made all things, and Dom means judgment. So he's not the Adam, he's the Dom. The H-A, because it's really spelled Hadam, and the H-A is the word the, and the Dom is the second part of the name, and it means judgment, and so it means the one who can perceive, the one who judges, the one who has to make judgment about things with free will. You see, and it's interesting because Dom, D-O-M backwards, you get mud, and it's the primary word for modern. We have the modern in the word. You see, because why? Because it was this knowledge that was breathed into him that went through to his children when he shared the knowledge that he had with them, that allowed them to then immediately know how to do things that we can't even reproduce today because it's been kept secret from us, and that they knew about all the cycles of nature and of the planets and of the stars and of the moons and the eclipses and all the things, And so this is what is happening. These scriptures are so watered down and destroyed that we cannot really get the picture. But basically, it would be like this. Okay, I'll read the King James again. Now, the serpent was more subtle than any beast of the field. But more correctly, it would be the Nalgesha. The shining royal eye that came down was the star ram of bright power. And I really should have. I'm sorry. I should have wrote this out prior to doing this presentation, but I was excited about sharing it. And I'll just.
That's okay.
Yeah, but anyway, so he was more knowledgeable than any other of the creation. It says beast of the field, but any other creation, he was the most knowledgeable. Okay, so that's basically the essence of that particular scripture. People think the serpent was really a snake, and they don't get it. They put on shirt and pants every day, and that is the shirt pants. The the serpent. They're the serpent. And when they came into the world as a sporum through their father into the mother's womb, they were a little wiggly serpent that was microscopic in the beginning of their great journey that they're on right now, and that the serpent is everything within nature, in fact. But the Now Geisha means that the shining royal eye, that came down is what Now Geisha means. The shining royal eye that came down, and the shining royal eye is the Dom, the Adam, and so he was the one who deceived his counterpart because she knew nothing, and he convinced her to engage him in a way that what they were told was, if you do this thing, you will die. And they went ahead and they went and had carnal knowledge, and in the process of trying to be like creators, they then discovered death at the same time, and that they were naked. You see, so that's that element right there, and but also the word I found out with reading Asimov, also where they created the word the word Satan, and he said right here that they break in pieces the brazen serpent. In Hezekiah's time, in 2 Kings 18:4, they break in pieces the brazen serpent, Hezekiah did, that Moses had made. For in those days the children of Israel did burn incense to it, and they called it the Nehushtan, but I realized that was just a corruption of the Nail HaShatan, So that is actually right there where the word Satan is created, which was used to then supplement the word for the serpent. Satan became the word for the serpent, and they created an invisible creature that doesn't actually exist in nature, other than the serpent, which is the flesh, which is the ego, which is the problem, because anytime any damage is going down on earth, man is behind it. Man is behind everything. And so, and I'll give you one more example of how the trickery is played as well, and that is, let me, that big over there, and get my other scriptures. And I'll show you the first time the word Satan is used in our scriptures. And I'll tell you where it's in First Chronicles. Okay, First Chronicles, and it's chapter 21, and it's the first verse. And Young's literal translation of the Bible from the 1800s got it correct. And Young was a genius. He wrote Young's Concordance, which is superior to the Strong's Concordance by defining words. And so he was not taken into the word Satan, and he used the terminology correctly, and he used adversary. And so this is the way they did it in the King James and every version after that. And in chapter 21 of First Chronicles, it reads like this: Then an adversary rose against Israel and incited David to make a conscription to Israel. Okay? So an adversary rose up against Israel and incited David to make a conscription, meaning to number all the tribes to find out how many adult males they had to go to war. And so, but what they did was they converted the word adversary and they turned it like this: Then Satan rose up against Israel and incited David to make a conscription against Israel. You see? So they changed the word adversary to Satan, and that's how they slip in a boogeyman that never existed.
Wow, I was flicking and listening while you were reading just then, and I've just found it. Mine says Satan. I've got two versions, by the way. I've got the old one of Mum's, which is really hard to read because it's a tiny little Bible, but that's the King James, and my one is the New International. So I'm looking in the New International because it says Satan.
The word Satan is only in our scriptures in the Old Covenant about 3 times, other than the book of Job, which there was proliferated about 12 times in Job. But Job is not actually a book that comes from the Hebrew tradition. It actually came out of Nineveh. Job is, from the region of Nineveh, from Assyria, and so it's not actually Hebrew writing, but so it's written like an Aesop's fable, in that when it says that the Satan went up to the throne of Yahweh and asked him, "What about your friend Job?" And all that. It's like an Aesop's fable. You're creating a story to tell a story, and so but bottom line is, of course, that's why. So if the serpent was testing Eve, and as a result she fell, then naturally the same thing that tempted her would be tempting Yeshua when he went into the wilderness for 40 days and fasted.
Wow, yeah. Sorry, keep going. Yeah.
And yet they say it was Satan, right?
Yeah.
But yet that is the corruption of the original term, which is the serpent. And what is the serpent but the shirt and the pants, the serpent that we put on every day, the flesh, and the ego that goes along with it. Hey, I think I'd like to do this. I'd like to do that. Oh, I think I got big ideas. I want to, and I can do anything I want to do. And so the ego was what he was having to contend with. The ego of having more power than anybody else on earth, because he had the spirit without measure from Yahweh, and he had to conquer that serpent and put it where it belonged, and that was to bed, to death, to conquer, to put it under his feet, to become dominant and master over the what do I want to say? The horse, I want stallion. The stallion, as we talked about the horse. Remember that the horse doesn't want you to ride it, but we can ride the horse if we know how to conquer it, right? We have to tame the horse.
Yeah.
And the body, symbolically, is like a stallion, because it wants to have free range, wants to do what it wants to do, but the horse has to be put under the bridle of discipline and be made to do what we want it to do, not what it wants us to do, right? Because either we're a slave to the body and it tells us what to do, or we conquer the body, and therefore we are the masters, and because the body is merely a vehicle, a conveyance that gives us an ability to exist within a material world, only for the time until we can figure out that we're not of the material world and we are spirits within the house of the body, and that we have an objective and somewhere else to go that is far better than down here, trapped in the grave of our body. So did you get that picture, Ninja?
I did get that picture. And you also made me think of another statement. I think it was on a video that I mirrored. It was about mind control and targeting and all the, just, it covered everything. And the statement went something like, control your mind, otherwise it will control you. And yeah, you just made me think of that. So yeah.
Well, there's something distinct about our mind versus our soul, which is that which is really hidden within us. The mind is the battleground, where we do battle, and the mind, so we're beyond the mind, and that's the essence of whatever we are. Is our essence is a way we could put it. It's the hardest thing to put our finger on, because it's active. We never sleep. We're always awake, even though our body sleeps. The serpent will go to sleep, but our mind is always active, and so perhaps we can call it the conscious intuition. That is beyond our mind, because the mind is the battleground where we have to come to terms, because the mind plays tricks on us, and we make a lot of mistakes in our lives because we're not truly focused. And so people are, the mind is filled with imaginations of things that are not real and do not exist. So it's the battleground. But so what we are is beyond the mind, and that's the most simplest way to put it. our soul. You know, the soul that is the very center of our being. You know, and
that's
so
our strength.
our conscience may be the true. You know, the best way to describe it, because it's our conscience that would then want to do the right thing, and so we can either follow our conscience or we can ignore it. And so that might be the closest, even though the word might not be the correct one, because I don't like the word con in there, you know. But the sense, you know, is in there. The con, you know. So okay. So that's about as much as I want to elaborate on that. It's an amazing objective to try to unravel the great mystery of our true nature, and most people aren't even attempting that. You know, they just thought that when they graduated from 12th grade, whatever that means to them, they knew everything, and now they get on with their party, you know, and they think they're animals, and then at the end of their cycle, they just go to the grave, and that's it, you know, and they don't know they have the potential to live in a day without end, a day that will never end, in a paradise that is out of this world, you know. It's tragic, because they are superior beings without knowing it. They are royal. They're of a royal family, a royal estate. They are the offspring of the one who made the universe, and they are ignoring him, you know, and he's right there with us all the way, whether we know it, acknowledge it, or not.
Yeah. Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah, it is amazing. Like, you know my story, but a lot of people don't, I guess, even though I've told it a lot online. That it wasn't until a year ago I'd got to the point where all I wanted was truth, and that's the only thing that kept me going. It kept me alive. And up until a year ago, I didn't know how to, I don't want to say the word, but I can't think of another one. I didn't know how to believe in anything, and it's just, I don't know where I was going. I've lost my train of thought now.
All right.
Yeah, it's just amazing, Desert, I think, is what I wanted to get across. He was with us the whole time. Looking back, I can see that, like, he's been with me my whole life. Just little wow moments here and there, like, there's no coincidences. And I didn't know that until a year ago. So yeah, I'm agreeing with you. It's amazing. Even when you've lost everything, including your mind, but you're still seeking the truth. He's there. He's still there with you. Yeah.
Right. Well, I'll pick up one more on the deception of Satan, because I actually I did write one thing down on the card, and that was that Satan was created by the Jews, and this is also again from Isaac Asimov, and this is coming from a Jew, therefore. Talmudists, the Jews of exilic times of Babylon, that's after they came back and began to rebuild the temple, made the fall in the garden seem more reasonable, however, by equating the serpent with Satan, who in essence becomes an evil spirit. And so that's Asimov's Guide to the Bible, page 31. Okay, in essence, Satan is a product of Babylonian Talmud, and ended up becoming the Jewish prosecutor in medieval Europe. They called him the Hashatan, or the Satan, and that was the prosecutor who was accusing you, even though you were innocent of anything, you know. Yeah.
Wow.
So that's the smoking gun on the word Satan. I showed you where it was first put in our scriptures, and I now got a Jew to admit that the Jews created the idea of Satan because they didn't want us to get the picture that we were the serpent. You see, they disassociated us from the reality into a false reality of illusions, make believe. Blame somebody else, right? So what does James say when it says in James that we sin or we close our eyes, which is what that means, when we are drawn away of our own lusts and enticed, and when blindness has finished, then it brings forth death. You see? So did it say that the devil made me do it there?
No. I didn't hear the word devil.
No, it didn't say Satan either, did it?
No.
It said when we were drawn away of our own lusts and enticed. Well, what enticed us? The serpent. The flesh.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
There you go.
Yeah. Yeah. It makes sense. It makes so much sense. So.
I don't know what's going on my phone. I'm having the thing's not acting normal here. I'm coming through okay still?
Yeah, I can hear you. And
okay,
people have got sound back. So I think we're all back to normal. Just
okay. Well then,
I've still got
let's go to.
Sorry, I've still got a silly little circle, but everyone's. I'm getting thumbs up and everything. So yeah.
All right. So if you want to, we'll do a few words before we wrap it up. Let's take a break. And I need to hang up to have my phone. A call tried to come in while you were.
Oh, okay.
You know, and it messed up my phone. So call me back during the break, and then we'll reconnect, and then we'll do part 2. We'll do some words. Okay.
Okay. I just got to go get another cup of coffee, and then I'll call you back. Okay.
Okay, very good.
Okay, we are live on the Forbidden History Chronicles. See you in about you in about 7 minutes. Okay. Okay, welcome back, everybody. Just want to say take care to Anne's. Anne's had to go, Desert. So yeah, take care. Thank you, love you, and be safe. For any new listeners, you're listening to the Forbidden History Chronicles, and we are live chatting with Dezert-Owl from the Forbidden History series. I should have got an update on your computer situation, Desert, because I was just getting ready to give out your details. And yeah, how's it going? How's it going with the computer?
Well, we're not up yet, but we're hoping by the end of the week to be set up and maybe do a Sunday broadcast if things work out. So we'll just keep everybody posted on that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And because I want to give out contact details. So we're still, the website's still down, I'm assuming.
Yeah, just give out a phone number, that's all. We can just do that.
Okay.
We're winding down right now, so I just want to go over a few words with people.
Okay. You can contact Desert on 608-566-7295. That's 608-566-7295. We would love this to be a caller generated program, but I don't have the technology to do more than one phone call, and that's with Desert. So if you do have any questions, you can call Desert. If you're international, it's just put a +1 in front. I'll put the number in the chat in a second. All the contact details are in the description on every one of these live streams. Desert also has PDFs available. Okay, so I won't go into it too much here, but they are the Real Da Vinci Code Etymological Dictionary, the Book of Wisdom, and the original Gospel with a more up-to-date version of the dictionary attached. Any size donation, or if you cannot afford to donate, we're happy to get you copies anyway. They're very, very handy to get a start on understanding original thought. So just my email is in the description as well. Either call Desert or contact me on my email, and we'll figure it out. Okay, back to the program. Desert.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, and I'm looking up some words here, and I'm just in the Mythological Dictionary of Scriptures and Myths, because there's interesting definition under Cana, marriage, and I thought I'd read that real quick. A symbol of the union of truth and love. The 6 water pots signify the 6 vehicles of consciousness to be made full use of. There's consciousness, what we were trying to talk about earlier, so it's about being conscious, clearly. The turning of the water into wine symbolizes the substitution of the love element for the duty, or the ethics element. It means a transmutation, a miracle, in fact, the beginning of miracles. Records the dawning of the supremacy of the Christ love, whose triumph illumination is begun by the perfect adjustment of all the vehicle and functions upon the several planes of consciousness. The story of the marriage feast and the miracle of turning water into wine has reference to the final initiation of Yeshua. The water is the symbol for the shul, for the soul, the wine for the spirit, the beginning of miracles. For the blood of the earth regenerate is the spiritualization of his own soul, which is therefore mystically called the changing of water into wine. And Philo speaks of the wine of the divine love of Yahweh. This fact of the water becoming wine, the context, the structure of the star message of enlightenment, and the traditions of Philo combine to indicate that the whole of the narrative is spiritual and emblematic. Okay? And then we're going, there's one more I think that's worth, because I read these and then I say, thanks, Jay, I got to bring that on the program. And let me see what I have here.
You can bring as many as you like on the program, does it? As many as you like.
Thank you very much. Okay. So, what's going on here? Okay, the self has come forth in the lower nature to condemn. Here it is. Okay, I got my note in the way. Okay, so Earth's spiritualized, a symbol of the physical nature or the physical plane as the lowest plane of manifestation. And Yahweh, or God, whatever you prefer, blessed them, saying, be fruitful and multiply and fill the waters of the seas and let the fowl multiply in the earth. Genesis 1:22. And now the divine nature energizes the functions of the physical, astral, and astral-mental natures and enjoins that the higher emotions are to increase in the soul through the discipline of the physical nature. The first of 4 earthly beings flew from the north, son of the essence of water, the second from the south, son of the essence of the red earth. That's a Chinese legend. The first world soul vehicle is the Buddhic, which is the ensouled by the Atman. The second is the physical, which is a response to the atomic or the atmic form below, and through the law, the attraction becomes the epitome of the atmic or love. And I just saw within that word atman, the atomic. I just realized the code that they put into that. The atmic love red aspect. The third soul from 4th vehicle is the astral, and that is the mental. Okay, so these are, I know, deeper meanings of things that most people have not delved into before, but the book is a must-read by Gaskell, Dictionary of Scriptures and Myths, and it defines all of our scriptures in a very, very profound way. And I can't get over this guy did it before we had computers. So, okay, so that's some food for thought. And now just I'll run through some words real quick. Words are not what you think, ladies and gentlemen. When words lose their meaning, the people lose their freedom. And that's Confucius. Boy, he knew something back then, didn't he?
Yeah, yeah, wow.
The word census, word census, if we want to reconstruct it, we can go back to the original thought. So census, C-E-N-S-U-S, but the C sound is really an S, so there's where they tricked us. Census, S-E-N-S-U-S, but Sen is really Zen, and so we can see it be Z-E-N-S-U-S, but the U-S at the end it implies light, and so it's Zen, but the correct spelling, I'll just give you the correct spelling on the Indo-Germanic primitive, is Zanosh, Z-A-N-N-O-S-H. So census in the primal root forms, when you reconstruct them properly, is Zanosh, Z-A-N-N-O-S-H, and literally it means the light of the number. So census is Zenosh, and it means the light of the number. Zen means infinity, but the nosh and the OSH implies number, and so or the light, and so it is the light of the number. And so this is how do you read the primal roots within the Indo-Germanic, and I'm sharing with you folks today. And just like Bathsheba is Bathsheba, who became the wife of David, who was really correctly Tavat, is Bathsheba, and literally means the serpent knowledge. And we look at the story, and we can see there was some carnal knowledge going on there, just like in the story of Adam and Eve, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
In fact, it's a metaphor that goes back into the story of David, in fact, because what David had to do was to kill the Hittite, the very loyal, the very dedicated soldier. I'm just seeing it right now on another deep esoteric plane, and it's because he wanted the woman, and so it's just really a replay of Adam and Eve. That's exactly what the story of David is. And actually, I hadn't seen that before until right now when I'm sharing it with you.
Wow.
And so if you meditate on that, you'll be able to see that clearly.
Wow. I'm just
okay?
thinking,
There's a lot more to the story.
Yeah, it's all on repeat, like all the repeating patterns and... Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, please continue.
Right.
I'm just wowing.
So I'll give you another example of how the code works, because you have to know that the words in the ancient were longer words. These short words that we have today are the simplified versions of deeper, more primitive words. And so like the word Ezekiel, E-Z-E-K-I-E-L, more correctly would be Atzarkeul, and that would be A-T-Z-A-R-K-A-Y-O-O-L. I'll spell it again, A-T-Z-A-R-K-A-Y-O-O-L, Atzarkeul.
Okay,
and we can see the A star, the star,
yeah.
and the K is the keys of knowledge, and the Ul is to have the vision. And so he was an important, what we call prophet, but correctly navigator, star navigator of the ancient, tradition. And another one, vivify. Vivify means to make alive or life. And but you'd spell it without the I's and the Y's correctly. It's V-Y-V-Y-P-H-Y, vivify. Or it may be spelled correctly V-A-Y-V-A-Y-P-H-Y, P-H-A-Y. And literally it means the way of creation's eye. Okay, the way of creation's eye, and the eye in the primitive is the sun. And all of life came down from there.
I just thought of something.
What?
You just said, tell me if I'm saying this right, vivify? Was that it?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, in Canberra, here, once a year, we have a festival called, hang on, I think it's the Sydney one. I can't remember what ours is called. Something like it, Enlighten or something. Anyway, the Sydney one is called Vivid. That's what made me think of that. I saw the word vivid, and it's a spectacular, holographic, all lasers, light festival all over the city, where they do anything and everything you can imagine with lights and colours on the buildings, in the sky, everywhere. And it just made me think of that. And yeah, I'm pretty sure the one we have here is called Enlighten, and it's not as spectacular as Sydney, but they similar ideas in the Parliamentary Triangle of all places where it is held, and using the buildings and everything there with the lights. Yeah, I just see, I'm just connecting dots and seeing things. Yeah, so anyway, vivid. That's what made me think of it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and enlighten, of
Vivat.
course. Yeah.
Yeah, but the D is a corruption, so it'd probably be vivat. Vivat, the way of the serpent, because if it's something vivid, you're seeing the ways of the serpent within creation. It's part of the great mystery. And so, okay. So just like the word victory, when what I realized, okay, the I is a corruption in the code, and so victory has to be like vak tore, and vak means, you know, like a vacuum. It's sucking everything towards it. So it's sort of like, you know, when you're contemplating, you're trying to absorb the light of the universe, right? And so victory, as in we say, victory of light, meaning, you know, what we call faith. Victory of light. So, but factory, when I just put the A in there for a moment to look at it yesterday, and then I said, well, factory. Well, there's the word factory.
Oh.
You know, so their idea of victory is capitalizing commercially on all of mankind. That's their victory of light. Is the factory.
Yeah, it's
of
their
light,
factory.
Right?
Yeah. Wow.
So, just like the word just to show the parallel, the word you know, industry comes from India, and where the first industry occurred was in the Indus Valley, the land of the Sind, the 5 rivers going into India. You know, so industry began in India, and they're the ones who are behind all the great technologies that we've seen forever. Okay, always they've been behind it. The Hindu, you know, the Brahmin.
Yeah.
And yeah, they had the anti-gravity back then. They had the technology to cut stone. All the things that we see in those ancient monuments, we can't figure out how did they do that. They were the ones behind it, and this is part of the story in the Forbidden History that I talk about. And so anyway, there's so much more to cover. Do you have any? Why don't we try to wrap this up, Ninja? If there's anything you want to talk about specifically, we can go there. You know, but as far as presentation goes right now, I'm very, I guess, worn out is the word I feel right now. But I should have taken better notes. I wish I would have done a little better earlier with that research I was doing, because I thought I would open the page and there it would be, and then all of a sudden I realized it was gone. So I'm going to have to do some follow-up here this afternoon and try to draw that out a little better. There's a lot of misconceptions, you know, and to pierce the veil on all of it is a major work, and most people are not able to put out that effort. Life is the biggest distraction, and you know, and we have limited time with the psychopathic nature of our world, where things are going. And so the scriptures are paramount, but yet they've not been correctly translated. You know, they've been manipulated by man. The idea is to bring it back. So we'll be every day. We come on the program here. We'll try to share some of the key elements and show the tricks and the trade and the trap of how they've messed with our scriptures.
Yeah. That's why I didn't want to, I wanted to continue with the stream earlier when we thought it was playing up. I don't know, I'm just getting I'm getting that feeling that there's really not much time left, like a very short amount of time. After doing some research on the directed energy and the fires, and the research, like the Paradise Fires, and the research I've been doing here in Australia, watching them with their step-by-step plan and programming of the sheeple throughout winter, and creating drought and getting us all ready, preparing for the bushfire season. And now the whole country is in a heat wave. It's not a first, it's a repeating cycle, but it gets a little more extreme each year. And this year is deadly with the heat. I felt heat like I have never felt in my entire life yesterday when I walked from the back door to the clothesline to get one towel off the clothesline. I thought I was going to spontaneously combust. It was that hot. Yeah, and after doing all that research and making all those connections and seeing them set it all up here, you know that I was putting off doing a video just before summer started here. I was putting off doing a video, and then I was actually glad that I didn't make the video, because they changed it. They burnt Queensland and flooded us, and I thought the fires were going to start here in Canberra, and now it's like, well, okay, well, let's just burn the whole country. I just feel like we're next. I'm seeing all this evidence, and we've got the fibre optic cables underground all set up. The catchphrase for that is lightning fast, and there's been research with burning the trees from underground, and how they burnt the houses. Yeah, I want to do this program as much as possible, because I need to get my act together and get closer to Yeshua. I was about to say closer than I ever have before, but I'm new to this. I've never really known Yeshua before, so I need to get to know Yeshua. And yeah, we need to help as many as we can. So yeah, that's my little statement. Yeah.
And that's how you get closer to Yeshua, by helping others, by sharing the information. You know, so you're doing that. That's what he wants everyone to do, is to wake up and to be involved, proactive in some way within life, sharing the scriptures, his knowledge. Is important, and you're able to see through the veil. You're seeing much more than many people who are under the mind control and the spell of religion. That I actually think that the King James Version is the sacred cow, so to speak, and nobody could have messed with it. It's amazing how superstition overrides rational thinking and the ability to know something, by research, because it's all an open secret. It's no secret that the King James is a mind control, fully corrupted document. One of the worst translations, that was designed for the mind control program. That's where the first time Egypt came on the scene was in that book, because it was always Maitzer. The reason they didn't want us to know Maitzer was the meaning of the word, which we talked about before. So there's a lot going on, and most people will never be able to unravel the mystery. But we talk about it. We're bringing it on here, and so we'll be back on Thursday to try to share a bit more, and hope that there is enough time for people to wake up and for making the connection every day. We should give thanks that we have another opportunity to get closer to Yahweh, who is the great Father of Light, and of Yeshua, our elder brother, and use proper terms, because if we're embracing a pure tradition, a true tradition, well, Dezert-Owl, mispronounced Israel, was banished and destroyed and annihilated in 730 BC because they followed pagan traditions. And what are people doing following pagan traditions and pagan words in their scriptures?
Yeah.
Jesus Christ is Zeus, Krishna, and people, it's all an open secret. There's no secret, you know. And so, why would they accept a false reality when they could have the reality of original thought and correct terminology? And so, the information is available. Look at the back programming of NinjaCat, or go to the Forbidden History series, 4 words, the Forbidden History series, 4 words, and that's my YouTube channel, and you can hear plenty of back issues starting in particular June 21st of last year, 2018. Also, the first 10 programs I posted on there back about 2 years ago are certainly worth watching. My interviews with Dr. Lorraine Hurley. She interviewed me, and so got a lot of stuff out. Long way to go, short time to get there, Ninja, and just the main thing is Yeshua is our protector, and you surrender your heart, mind, and being to Him, and He will be there for you when you need Him. That's the bottom line.
Yeah, yeah, that happened actually. Within the last couple of days, yesterday was a challenge, and the only way we got through it was from your creating light the other day for me and Mum, and I prayed my heart out. Yeah, and I actually got some relief the day before yesterday. Like, it was one of the easiest, most relaxed days that Mum and I have had in a very long time, and it gave me the strength, and Mum's tough anyway. But it gave us both the strength to get through yesterday, which was very, very challenging. Yeah, so thank you, and let there be light. Yeah, so it works. It's true. It's the truth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wonderful. That's great. And yeah, He knows our struggle. Sometimes the Great Spirit will allow us to suffer a while because it tempers us, and He wants to make us perfect before Him in our discipline in all of our actions.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
suffering is a part of that reality. So you've got a lot of struggle in your walk right now, but that very possibly means that you are loved very much as well.
Yeah.
That you have such a great challenge to overcome, because when you overcome it, you'll have victory of life.
Yeah.
And the transformation of your being that you really want, you see.
Wow. Thank you.
All right, Ninja. So I'm there with you. I know struggle, so thank you for having me today, okay? And we'll talk to you. We'll look for you in 2 days on the 1 p.m. Eastern Time on the Forbidden History Chronicles, okay?
Okay. Look forward to it. Can't wait. Have your 3x5 cards ready and waiting. Desert?
All right. Peace and love, Ninja.
Okay, peace and love.
Bye.
See ya. Okay, and that was another episode of the Forbidden History Chronicles with NinjaCat 111 and Dezert-Owl from the Forbidden History series. And I'm just going to end it here before I get more emotional than what I am now. Okay, love you guys. Thanks for watching. And we'll see you Thursday. Okay, be safe. Peace and light.